Hey, what's going on, guys? Jared here with Warrior Lab Training Concepts. Just want to shoot a short video today and just give you an overview of my M&P 2.0 9mm. I'm going to hit all the high notes and we're going to make sure we get through all this. That way you know what I'm working with, and if you're interested in any of these items, reach out to us. Our emails are linked below. No further ado, let's get into it. So this is my Smith Wesson M&P 2.0 9mm. It's a cold gun. I do have loaded magazines on the desk here. We're not going to touch those. I love M&Ps. Let me first start by saying that. I'm biased. I've had quite a few of them. This is my third full size. I've owned the M&P, the first edition, the 1.0, I suppose. And they've made not a whole lot of huge improvements on it, but definitely some worthwhile improvements. And I do appreciate that, Smith & Wesson. Y'all did a really good job. These are great guns. They feel great in the hand. I've never had a single issue. I have over 10,000 rounds through all three of my M&Ps, two being 40s, this one being a 9, and it eats up everything I put into it. Let's just talk about how it fits in the hand. My favorite thing about M&Ps is how they fit into my hand. I've tried to make myself like other brands, and I don't have anything against other brands. I highly recommend when you go find a pistol, you find one that fits in your hand, you feel comfortable with, and you feel good about. This particular model, you'll see, has raised sights on it, a threaded barrel that came from the factory like that. I've added an Apex flatty trigger in it. Love it. It's great. These flat triggers with the flat profile really do good when you're shooting fast. I'm going to show you the break on it. So very, very little take up on the wall. Crisp break. Let's talk about the reset. And a crispy reset. I do think, unfortunately, the triggers are still kind of lagging in the M&Ps. However, these Apex tactical triggers really turn this gun into a machine. Not to say that there's anything wrong with the stock trigger. This is the first time I've put a full trigger kit in here. I've had Apex sears in my other guns, but I love it. Great improvement, and the gun is just amazing. It runs very well. Let's talk about my light. I have a Streamlight TRL1HL. It's pretty bright, 900 lumens. Definitely does the job. Has the strobe effect on it. Takes two CR123 batteries, and this puppy puts out some light. Sure, it's not a Surefire X300 or $300, $400 light, but for $150, you really can't go wrong. Over here, I have some Tehran Tactical extended base plates for my magazines. I love these. They hold, I believe they advertise that they hold 24 rounds. I'm only able to get 22 rounds into it. That's okay, but when you get 21 and you slide that last round into it, it's pretty difficult to get in there. And I'd feel real bad about trying to shove 2 more rounds into it. With the stock Smith & Wesson followers, they were pretty reliable as far as locking the slide back. However, I have about 2,000 rounds in the pistol now. I've owned it for 2 months. I have about 2,000 rounds through it, and they are starting to not catch. But that's okay. I think that's just a wear and tear item, and I'll eventually get some new followers or take the followers out of the non-modified magazines. Great gun. Love these M&Ps. The gun's always going to be more accurate than you. I highly recommend, if you're curious about the Smiths, they are very reliable. They're up there with Glocks. Not scared to say that. I do like Glocks. I appreciate Glocks. I'm just not a Glock guy. For my duty rounds, let's talk about that. I carry the SIG 124 grain hollow points. Sweet little round, good energy. Recoil. It's a 9mm, guys. It's going to shoot like a 9. I will say that the the slide release is pretty stiff. Sometimes it's almost unusable. I have 2,000 rounds through the gun again, and it's still pretty stiff, but we're getting there. But the way I manipulate the slide on a reload is I typically just pull it back and send her forward. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and it works for me. I've trained like that with all my M&Ps. On this one, I will talk about on the previous generation. when you would slide a mag into it, it would send the slide forward. It doesn't do that anymore on the 2.0s. I like that. However, it's not a knock against the weapon. I think it runs great, and I'm okay with that. Just train with what you have and get used to it. That's all you can really do. So let me put this to the side here. This is my carry bag. I want to go through how I set it up. Keep my magazines, spare magazines in the bag. Keep a full one. I mean, I'm rocking with 44 rounds of 9mm. If I can't get the job done with that, I'm doing something wrong, or I just need to get away from the fight. In this top compartment here, I keep a few items: earplugs, safety glasses. Always wear your eye and ear pro. I actually have had a brass casing split open while I was firing this weapon. Blew all over the side of the wall and came back and hit me in the face. If I didn't have glasses on, probably would have been a bad day at the range. Keep spare batteries for my light. This light has, I think it's an hour and a half of light time. I've swapped the batteries once since I've owned it. I'm always manipulating the light, for training situations and just to understand my gun. The biggest thing with owning a pistol, especially something that you're gonna carry every day, is if you're gonna modify, say, a magazine, always run at least 500 to 1,000 rounds through the magazine to make sure the gun is reliable. Train with it, understand your weapon, and be proficient with it. That's important, and that's what we need when you're out there carrying these. We need safety and proficiency. It's important. So get out there, shoot. We're gonna head to the range here shortly, and we want you to see the footage of us shooting this. All right, guys, I'd like to start out with the T-Rex Arms warm-up target. I think this is a pretty ample way to shoot from various firing positions with single hand draws and presses. Let's get into it. So pretty good shooting so far. I did this with my strong hand. This is to the press, still a little bit cold. Support hand, I'm pretty gangster with my left hand. I'll toot my own horn a little bit. And then shoot, reload, shoot. I believe you're supposed to do it from compress ready, but I'm doing it from holster. So next we'll move on to draw, see what we can do. Alright, so these aren't timed. We need a shot timer. We're working on that. But these are 3-shot bursts at 5 yards. We're going to push it back out to 7 and do another 3-shot string from holster. So let's look at these results. Shot groups did open up, but this is why we're in here in the range training. You see pretty good grouping here, that one, and then a flyer up here. Once again, that's why we're training. That's why we're working through this. We want to get proficient with our weapons. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and center out to 5 yards and do some 5-shot cadences now from holster. At 10, the important thing to do here is to take your time, breathe, and focus on what you're doing. And that's something I'm working on and constantly internalizing while I'm working through these drills. All right, they opened up a little bit. That's okay. Once again, that's something we're working through. Probably in a 6-inch circle, which I'm okay with that at 10 yards.